Hey, folks, welcome back to Trucking and Politics. I appreciate you being here. If this is your first time here, welcome in. And this is what we do. We're Trucking and Politics. We talk about everything involving the trucking industry, politics, how politics affect trucking, how trucking affects politics, um, the ins and outs of the industry, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's what we're here for, to give information out, to help you make a choice if you're looking to get started with a company, if you're looking to change companies, or anything like that. Um, Political views is kind of a side thing for me, but that's what we're about. For everyone that has been here before and you're coming back, I appreciate you being back here with us. With that being said, if you have been part of trucking and politics at all, you will know that I am very anti corporation, just in general. I am very anti trucking corporations, especially the ones that are on Wall Street. They just have a mentality about themselves. I'll just leave it at that. Um, they're not very giving type people. They're out for themselves and the corporation and what's good for profits. Um, Morals and ethics are not their strong points. So I saw very early in life what corporations were about. Now, when you add in the dynamic of them being on Wall Street, it increases that by 100-fold. A lot of this um, video that I'm doing is about this type of subject. That's why I'm bringing this up. This video specifically is about Marten Transportation and what I consider the slow death of a corporate company. There's a lot of factors going into this, and that's what I'm going to get at with this video of why this is a slow death of Marten Transportation. A lot of it is their fault. I would say a mass majority of it is their fault. I do need to give you a warning. Towards the end of the video, I am going to be talking about a specific situation that is going on with Marten. If you are very tender hearted and you are sensitive to certain stories, you might want to skip the last part of this video because it will get intense. With that being said, let's get started with this video. Marten Transportation. First off, as everyone knows, we are in an economic downturn, especially getting hit hard in the trucking industry. Okay. One of the big things that I say about corporate trucking is they are out for vengeance. They are out for blood money, if you want to say that. Not just Marten Transportation, it's this corporate mentality. They just look at their bottom line, and whatever it takes to make that bottom line bigger, that's what their main focus is. Okay. Um, with this economic downturn, it's turned into a dogfight. It's corporations butting heads against other corporations. That's the first part of this. And in my thumbnail, I have the three strikes, you're out, with Marten Transportation. This is their first strike. They're losing that battle of dominance in the marketplace. Okay? They're losing that. This downturn is a major part of that. Okay? Um, If you don't know, Marten does a lot of dedicated for Walmart. I'm going to put up a stock chart here. You don't have to be an expert in stock market or anything like that to see what's going on here. I'm going to pull it up on my phone so I can follow what I'm talking about here, because I'll post it, post edit in this video, so I'm not going to be able to see it. You can see here on this stock chart, they had a rise. They were going up, they were going good, and then about midway through the stock chart, something happened and they just had a drop off. It turned and it fell drastically right there about 3/4 of the way into the chart. This is a 3-year stock chart, by the way. This is not a 1 year or a 6 month. This is spanning over a 3-year period. So this is that whole downturn period that we've been in. They started out good, started going up, they peaked out, and then it slammed down on them. They picked up a little bit more, and since then, for like the last year, I say, they have been going straight down. If you look at the very end of this, they've really dropped off. You can see that red right there in the very right hand corner. That's a huge sell-off for the company. It's bad signs. This chart has nothing good to say at all. It is showing a huge demise going on with Marten Transportation. So with that being said, I want to read this story that I found, and it is coming from FreightWaves. FreightWaves is a market analysis group that studies a lot of different things about trucking and financials and truckload movements and hot markets and just everything about stuff like that. That is what FreightWaves does. So this article is titled "Marten's Earnings and Almost All Other Key Operating Metrics Are Down," which is not good. Company driving fewer miles, has fewer tractors, earlier statements on not cutting rates absent from third quarter report. Their third quarter report just came out. If you know about trucking, you know that that downturn is always right there at the end of Thanksgiving and Christmas. Trucking just bottoms out. The first of the year, January, February, there's really not a lot going on in trucking, and that's what happens. That's the end of their financial year for corporations, and they're all like that, not just trucking. Every corporation is like that. And they finalize everything out. They do their yearly profit and loss sheets. They look at what they're at with taxes, everything. They do their finalization of the corporate year, and then they project what's going to happen the next year. Well, it's not looking good for Marten this year, and it's not looking good for Marten for next year either. They're really hard in a downturn. So let me read some of this article. Third quarter earnings at Marten Transportation were negative almost across the board, with little signs of truckload market recovery visible in the numbers. The company was profitable. It posted net earnings of 5 cents per share, down from 17 in the third quarter of 2023. So they're comparing this quarter to the same quarter, third quarter of 2023 last year, and 10 cents per share in the second quarter. According to Seeking Alpha, the consensus forecast for Marten was to earn 8 cents per share in the third quarter, this third quarter. So that means they missed their analyst projection for the company. So that's always a bad thing whenever you miss your earnings quota. You know, the experts, I call them the gurus, they set out, you know, a level where you're supposed to be. Everybody's jumping up and down and celebrating when you go up, but they missed it and they went under. And they've been in like this downward trend, so it's not the first quarter that they have lost out on. But beyond that, the numbers painted a picture of a truckload carrier for which virtually all metrics were deteriorating, not improving. Start with operating ratio. Company wide, it was 97.9 for the quarter compared with 92.8% in the corresponding quarter of 2023, 95.3% sequentially from the second quarter of 2024. So you can see it's 97, 92, 95. They're going down, and they're going down quickly. Not only are they're losing out money, they're losing out trucks. They've decreased their truck too. There's a little chart here. They have lost trucks in quarter three, and they have about 3,000 trucks now. So they actually lost 400 trucks. And you can do the percentage on that yourself. You can do the math on the percent. That's a substantial loss in tractors in 1 year. The fall off in business may be behind the sharp drop in the number of tractors in the dedicated segment. This is what I'm talking about, their Walmart dedicated segment. The total was down almost 20% from a year ago, from 1,296 to 1,296 from 1,619. Tractors and dedicated were down 6.2%. They're losing out on their dedicated, and they don't know what to do. I've seen trucking companies go out of business because of this. If you have a customer and you put all of your eggs in that one basket and you lose that customer, it just takes the wind out of your sails. You don't know where to go. You know, you have so many drivers, so many trucks, so much equipment that you're dedicating to this company. And when you lose it, what do? You go chase spot markets for, you know, $1.20 a mile when you were getting $3.50 a mile, just for instance, you know, just for throwing a number out there. You can't sustain that. And Marten understands that. That's why they are, you know, like a cat holding on by its last claw, wanting to hang on to this dedicated position. Marten stock price reacted negatively to the earnings news at approximately 10:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, when the S&P 500 had eked out a gain of about 0.25%. Marten's stock was down roughly 2.75 to $16.23, a decline of 43 cents. Now, this is something technical that I know about the stock market. I'll give you a little heads up about it. Everyone paces the S&P 500. They want to stay in line with it. If you just take like the stock chart that I put up, if you just put S&P 500 up and you overlay, you know, big corporations over that S&P 500, they fall in line with it. The charts look, you know, very similar, very close. And the S&P 500, generally speaking, has an upward trend. If you fall off of that, if you start looking like you're falling off of that, that's where a lot of investors look and say, what's going on with that company? Why are they not pacing S&P 500? What's wrong with them? with Marten, like I said, I didn't put up the S&P 500 chart, but it's more or less going in a straight upward line. When you look at Marten's and it has this hump and it's falling down, everyone takes notice in that, especially investors. So investors shy away from individual stocks like that. They don't want to have a losing company, right? The 52-week low at Marten is 1533, recorded April 19th. Since then, the price of Marten stock is up about 6.8%. But in the last 52 weeks, Marten stock is down about 16.1%, while the S&P 500 is up 35.6%. That's exactly what I was just telling you. Whenever investors look at that, they go, whoa, 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 what is going on with this company? Why is it so far off of the S&P 500? If you don't know what the S&P 500 is, Fortune 500 companies, have you ever heard of that? They just take, like a list of 500 different top corporation companies, and that's the S&P, and they try to keep everybody in this same little groove going up. That's the thing I don't like about the corporations. It's like they have this buddy system where they all work together. We either hang on or we throw you off a cliff and you're gone. You're history. You get out of here. You either catch up or do something, but we're moving on. And it's just like every man for themselves, every corporation for themselves, and you're either in it or you're out of it. And it's like they don't have any sympathy for you. If you fall off, then oh well, see you later, because we're moving on. Marten has company and other truckload stocks. Marten has company and other truckload stocks that have been lagging the broader market index. Now, Marten is not the only one falling off. There's other companies, and that's what this is. In the last 52 weeks per bar chart is, I used to use it myself, bar chart. I used to use it to just look at the way stocks were trending up and down. It's a very complicated website, is what it is, but whenever I was buying and selling and trading stocks, you could put like 50 stocks, in a trend line with each other and see what other stocks compare to it. That's what's called individual stocks. You can pull out the ones that are good and bad, that stay within lines, and some of them are really good because there's others that outperform the S&P 500. So those are really good, ones to look at. But these are the ones that are doing bad along with Marten. And I was actually going to do a story coming up about one of these trucking companies as well, because they're not doing good either. Actually, all of these are really doing bad. Heartland is down 21.2%. PAM Transport is down 16.5%, but Warner is down just 1%, while Covenant Logistics is up 21.4%. I don't know what's going on with Covenant Logistics. I have been doing some looking at their stock chart. Man, they are just knocking it out of the ballpark. But there's a caveat there. Something's going on. They're getting a little shaky with their stock. They're starting to level out. And, they made that big purchase with Lou Thompson. So something's going on with them there. And that may be, the chicken's coming home to roost, as they say. The past few years have taken a toll on Marten's cash on hand, At the end of the third quarter of 2022, when the strong post pandemic freight market was starting to recede, Marten had cash on hand of 71.4 million, up from the 57 million it had on hand at the close of 2021. Okay, but in the latest earnings report, cash on hand was down to 42.9 million after the company closed out 2023 at 52.2 million. Total operating revenue at Marten for the quarter was 237.4 million, down from 280 million earlier in the year. The 9-month revenue total was 733, down from 863 in the first 9 months of 2023. Expenses did fall as well in the quarter, dropping to 233 million from 262 million a year earlier. Well, that's because they dropped 400 trucks, they dropped 400 drivers, they dropped 400 expenses for those trucks and drivers, right? They just parked the trucks, or they sold them, or whatever they did with them, you know. But they also lost on revenue. That's why their money was down. This gets into the third part of this story. This was the part that I told you, if you have a sympathetic heart, if you have compassion for human beings, you might want to skip this part. It gets really bad. When I first read this, I'll be honest, it really choked me up. And there's no excuse for it. Part of this is Marten's fault. I'm not going to just totally dismiss them here. A lot of corporations out here, a lot of trucking companies out here will hire a driver if he's got a pulse, he or she. If they've got any kind of experience whatsoever and they have a pulse, you can get a truck driving job. With Marten having the struggles and everything that they're going through, it would not surprise me if they're having this type of hiring agenda. Just get somebody in the truck. We need to move this freight. Okay? Like I've said so many times, if they could replace us with robots, they'd do it in a heartbeat. They would. And that's what trucking companies are wanting. I mean, they're just salivating, waiting for these self-driving trucks to hit the market, because they don't want any human in the truck. And with this story, you can't really blame them, okay? You can't really blame them with what I'm about to show you here. And when you look at SaferWeb, Marten Transportation crash ratings for the last 24 months, they have had nine fatal accidents in the last 24 months. 9. Okay. With 3,000 trucks, 9 fatal accidents. Now, like I said, this is not all Marten's fault. You know, when you put a driver in a truck and you send them out, who knows what's going to happen. But with saying that, that's where your hiring practices come in. If you see a problem with a driver, you see a pattern with the driver, if you see something that stands out, you should be a company that is a little more selective. With a company like this that is struggling, that is trying to hang on, I can see where they start getting relaxed with their hiring process. They just, as long as you got a pulse, as long as you can hold the wheel, as long as you can stay awake on third shift to deliver our products, come on, we'll give you a job. If you've been around this channel, you know me, you've watched this channel at all, you know that I am a resident of Arkansas. What else is in Arkansas? Walmart corporate. And they have a lot of DCs in Arkansas. And Marten Transportation brings these products from the DC to the stores. And that's where this third shift thing comes along. It's a cycle. They're bringing it, their trucks, Walmart trucks, are bringing all these products into the DC, and Marten Transportation is their dedicated carrier sending it out to the stores. Now, Walmart trucks does it too, but they do it in a different fashion than Marten, and with their dedicated thing, because they are dedicated, just pumping it out of the DC going into the stores. So there has been multiple crashes, and like I said, 9 fatalities on their record in the last 24 months. Mother of Logan County teen killed by 18-wheeler sues the trucking company. On January 13, on Highway 109 at Interstate 30 in Scranton, Cameron McKittrick was driving his SUV with his girlfriend Tracy Berger in the passenger seat, and Tracy's brother Trenton Barger, B-A-R-G-E-R, Barger, was in the back seat on the driver's side. They were traveling to visit Tracy and Trenton's grandfather. The lawsuit claims that McKittrick was following traffic laws and keeping to his own lane when he approached a sharp curve. Kenneth Gaynor, who was reportedly employed at Marten at the time of the incident, was driving an 18-wheeler for the company carrying a load from a Walmart distribution center. This is that dedicated thing I was telling you about. Gaynor approached the curve from the opposite direction, reportedly ramped up speed with his loaded trailer to more than 65 miles per hour. The speed limit was 55 miles per hour. Kenneth Gaynor had a clear, unobstructed view of the curve ahead, as well as the warning signs lining the highway. The filing says that, failing to slow down in time, Gaynor lost all control of his truck and crashed into the SUV driven by Cameron and carrying Tracy and Trenton. The trailer then rolled on top of the SUV and on top of Trenton into the rear seat. The crash killed Trenton, 15 years old. Tracy and McKittrick reportedly suffered severe injuries as well. The complaint claims that had Gaynor been sober, not distracted, and following traffic laws, the crash could have been avoided. He was drunk. Data from Marten's truck driven by Gaynor showed Gaynor's speed sped up to more than 30 miles per hour over the warning speed, a speed that his loaded trailer could not handle, before heading into the curve where the crash occurred. Bailey and Oliver law firm, who is representing the plaintiffs in this case, say records reflect Gaynor's blood alcohol level exceeded the legal limit at the time of the impact. Gaynor was arrested in July and charged with manslaughter. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he was going through. I don't know if he was having personal issues at the time. But if you get behind the wheel of any vehicle, especially an 18-wheeler, and you are drinking, and you cause a wreck, and you kill an innocent person, no form of punishment is too harsh. They are very lucky. People like this, drivers like this, are very lucky that I'm not in charge of sentencing because I would be just as brutal to them, if not more, than what they caused. If you are this type of driver, find another profession. What this is going to cause is trouble for good drivers. Drivers that follow the law. Because when the court system gets done with this, they are going to paint a black picture for all truck drivers. Because that's the way they do this. That's the way the government does this. They don't point out this specific guy and say it was a personal thing for him. This was a personal choice for him. No. They don't do that. They look at me, they look at you, they look at other drivers, and they say, we're all just like this driver. Why do you think that I keep saying on this channel, we as truck drivers need to get united and stand together? Because they are united standing against us because of idiots like this. It gives them fuel for their fire. I should not wish the worst for this Gaynor person. At this point, he is innocent until proven guilty. That is the way our laws work in this country. But if it goes to court and it's proven that these accusations are true, there's no punishment hard enough. None. This is the total opposite of the direction that I want to see trucking go to. It's the total opposite. And the thing is here, folks, they've had 9 fatal accidents. 9 in the last 24 months. And you want to hear something even worse than that? They're not the worst trucking company in the United States about having fatal crashes. Walmart itself is even worse than Marten. Walmart itself has had even more fatal crashes than Marten has. And Walmart wants to paint this picture of we are the safest fleet in the United States. We are the best fleet in the United States. We are so selective of who we hire. Just because you apply doesn't mean you get a job with Walmart. We're the greatest. And they've got a higher fatality rate than Marten. There you go. You know what's going to happen is they are fighting a nuclear verdict. That's what they're doing. They're fighting a nuclear verdict. They're going down, their stock's going down, they're losing these dedicated accounts. They gained one or a little bit of traction on a dedicated account, but overall they're losing and they're going down and they're going down and they're fighting to hang on, and they're hiring drivers. In my opinion, they're hiring drivers that are sub level drivers than what they should be hiring, because they're cutting cost. They're doing everything they can to cut cost, cut corners. So they hire a lower level of driver, and this is the result you get. For what? So they can make that bottom line look good. I know how corporations work. I know how they work. I know what they're about. It's unethical and it's not moral, and that's why I refuse to work for them. That is exactly why I refuse to work for them. If it came to the point where I had to choose one of these corporate companies to work for, I would make a choice and I would say none of them. I'm not going to work for them. It's not going to happen. What they can all do is they can all step down from their high horse. They can all get down to ground level and say, what we are doing is not working. Let's let somebody else take over. But they're not going to do that. That's why I say on this channel all the time, stay away from corporate trucking companies. Stay away from them. If you're new and you have less experience, get your experience and move on. Get to something else. You don't need to stay with these people. You don't need to stay with any of these corporate trucking companies, especially the ones on Wall Street. Get away from them and do something else. Try not to even go to work for them to begin with. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents worth. You make your own choice. That's what I would do. Anyway, that's all I have to say. This is a little bit longer of a video. I'm probably going to have to edit some of it out. Thank you all for watching. Look out for one another. Try to have a good day.